Hey guys, it's Cerulean Jake bringing to you the quarterfinals of the VGC Pals Draft League. In the last episode I uploaded, we unfortunately ended off our season not making playoffs. But I did promise that I would be covering both the quarterfinals and the semi and finals. Today's episode is the quarterfinals, and I have a lot of pretty good matchups here. So, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Displayed on your screen now, you can see our 4 matchups that we are going into today. And I have ordered them left to right, top to bottom, in the order that they occurred, and we will be viewing them. Lots of interesting things to say about these, so let's start off with our first matchup. The Bad Draft, led by RetKing versus the Caribbean Suns with Pizza Guy. Now, what is there to say about these two teams? Well, Bad Draft is quite possibly one of the most terrifying drafts in the whole league. It's a doubles league, and he ends up with Dozogiri. He ends up with quite possibly one of the most terrifying size spam combos I've ever seen in my life. And then just a whole bunch of other really good stuff that's really hard to prepare for and really hard to beat. Overall, his was definitely one of the most terrifying drafts I saw going into this. But he is currently facing down the previous winner of the VGC Pals Draft League. Season 1, that is. This is Season 2. And he actually drafted pretty much the same that he had last time. There are a few key differences. I'm pretty sure he didn't have a Baxcalibur last time, but Pizza Guy did grab that tried and true combo of Blood Moon Ursaluna plus Smeargle. So, he is looking to take another VGC Pals Draft League win using that same combo. But what is more powerful here? The desire to remain the reigning champion, or the sheer power of bad drafts? Well, good draft. Let's find out. Here we are with game 1, and I will be going turn by turn, explaining what's going on here. Starting things off, we see Pizza Guy, who is using the moniker Shit Tier Pro. He has not only his Baxcalibur, who has been an absolute monster for him throughout this entire draft league, but he also has that pair that we were oh so worried about. He has that Ursaluna plus Smeargle. I will say that in testing, I was looking into this, and I found that Smeargle had kind of a hard time functioning and doing what it wanted to do. So, gotta wonder, what exactly does he have planned for this Smeargle? Is it simply a decorate bot, or is there more to it? Over on the other side, we have a few things that you would expect to see. We, of course, have the Dozogiri. We, of course, have the size spam. And we have the Intimidator. And then we also have a Stellar Iron Valiant. You gotta wonder, what is that here for? Stellar would imply that he's going for all-out damage, but Iron Valiant is such a varied Pokemon. You gotta wonder, is he going for something kind of crazy? Taking a look at the Terra types, most everything seems pretty well in line for what you would expect. Nothing too extremely out of the ordinary. I would say that the Terra Stellar Tatsugiri is a bit odd, but regardless, I mean, you're not really trying to win with a Terrastal Tatsugiri anyway, so let's go ahead and get started with turn 1 and see what happens. We lead off with Ogerpon and Baxcalibur versus the Iron Valiant and Hoopa. Port Drive activates. That is going to get that speed heightened up. Baxcalibur is going to immediately Terrastalize into a Ghost type. The Ogerpon is going to U-turn and one-shot the Hoopa. We get an Icicle Spear that's going to come out, and it's going to damage the Iron Valiant. 1, 2. Ooh, we got a crit. There's 4, and another crit. That is probably going to be game 1 in and of itself right there. I'm just going to keep rolling through. Actually, hold on. We got a Moody boost. We got a speed boost from the Smeargle. Probably the best possible one it could have gotten. An amazing turn 1 from Pizza Guy. Honestly, it's kind of hard to tell how RetKing can possibly bring this back from that powerful of a turn 1. This could very well be over in a simple 2 turns. But now we see the Air Balloon Arcanine coming out, getting an Intimidate down. Psychic Surge will go up. Decorate comes out, boosting the Baxcalibur's damage. Icicle Spear going to kill this Indeedee before it has a chance to do anything. The Terrestrial Grass Arcanine going to go for a Rock Slide, but it's just going to do some decent damage, and that's it. This is turn 3, and we are done here. That's the game. A very, very dominant and convincing win from Pizza Guy here at the Caribbean Suns. We got to go into game 2 and see how things shape up. What sort of adjustments can RetKing make in order to win this? Okay, here we are with game 2. Getting right into it, no need to go over the teams again. Our leads are going to be Ogerpon and Baxcalibur once more versus the Hoopa Unbound and Indeedee Female. We're going straight for the Psy Spam tech this time. Indeedee is going to go for Follow Me and Terra Steel. The U-turn is going to get the Smeargle out, and the Icicle Spear redirected into the Indeedee. Not going to do a ton, not exactly what you would expect per se. And then you have the Expanding Force coming out, not only killing the Baxcalibur, but also bringing the Smeargle down to its Focus Sash. Get an attack boost and a special attack drop on the Smeargle. Nothing really changes there. A Spiky Shield coming out with a Follow Me. The Ivy Cudgel is going to nearly knock out that Indeedee, but it's not quite going to do it. Finally, we get a boost on Moody that might actually matter. Another Ivy Cudgel comes out into the Follow Me, and now we're going to get a Spore onto the Hoopa. That is massive. Dondozo comes out. We get the Terra Grass Ogerpon. Ogerpon is going to one-shot the Dondozo. Not even a critical hit, just super effective. The Hoopa is still sleeping. The Tatsugiri in the back is not going to be enough because the U-turn is going to kill, and Tatsugiri now has to face the whole world, and it's just not able to do it. That's going to be it. That is going to be a 2-0 from Pizza Guy. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Pizza Guy and the Caribbean Suns move on to the semifinals, while RetKing and the Bad Draft, which was actually a pretty good draft, unfortunately falls in quarters. But that is not all for our dear RetKing. Before we move on, I want to announce RetKing is opening up his own YouTube channel. He has turned his attention to Pokemon Champions. He's been practicing on an unofficial ladder, and he has gotten pretty good at it. He feels that he has a pretty good handle on the meta as a whole, and he's going to be unveiling a video of his own talking about what's good, what's bad, and what you can expect. So, everyone, link in the description. Go check it out. Our next matchup is OB and his unnamed team versus Zardichar and their Opelucid Oshawotts. Now, I have faced the Opelucid Oshawotts before. And in truth, I'm not a huge fan of the team. I don't think it's all that good. But clearly, I have been proven wrong, as Zardichar was able to pilot this team to a second place finish in the regular season. Quite astounding. They only lost a single matchup in the final week. So, a lot of respect earned there. Cannot be sleeping on this team, but now Zardichar is matched up against OB with this terrifying team centered around Urshifu Rapid Strike. Can the Opelucid Oshawotts overcome this absolutely horrifying, full of VGC staples team? Let's find out. Loading into game 1, we have OB versus Zardichar, and let's take a look at those teams. OB has 2 Terra Steels, obviously the Terrifier. We have the Hisuian Sneasel, as well as the Palmot, deciding to forego 2 of the more scary members of the team and bring some of the smaller, not as threatening members. Obviously, must have a good matchup here, at least he believes. Looking over on the other side of the field, we have a lot of very strong, well, for the Opelucid Oshawotts, that is, very strong-looking members. Members that Zardichar has repeatedly piloted to great success. So I'm interested to see how this goes. That Sylveon being one of the best kill leaders on the MVP board. So let's see what happens. Let's get into turn 1. We lead off with the Tornadus and Urshifu Rapid Strike, a tried and true combo versus the Hariyama and Oranguru. Tornadus is going to go for a Protect, predicting the Fake Out, but it's going to go into Urshifu instead, and that Trick Room is going to go up. Hariyama now gets burned from the Flame Orb and is going to go for a Thunder Punch. And it's now occurring to me, I may want to check. I wonder if they would say something. Let's go ahead and pause really quick. They may say something here in the chat. I seem to remember, in the back of my head, I think I remember something being said about this matchup. That Hariyama did not have guts. I could be wrong, and it's been a very long time since this match actually went down. Okay, I could not find it. I could be mistaking this match for a different match that happened earlier in the season, or it may have just been put in a different chat. I'm not 100% sure. But taking a look back at that team, the Hariyama is now in the perfect position to just start wreaking havoc on this team, assuming it has guts, that is. The Thunder Punch, an obvious tech for the Urshifu. Bleak Windstorm coming out, and it actually misses on the Hariyama, which is very, very important. Not getting that damage down on the fighting type. Urshifu is going to get out of there with a U-turn. But we now have a Regidrago facing a Sylveon, which is not what you want to see. We can already see at the start of turn 3 that Regidrago has gone for a Protect. How does the rest of this turn play out? The Close Combat is going to bump into the Regidrago, obviously predicting a Terra Steel. The Hyper Voice with the Pixelate going to come out, proccing that Throat Spray, getting Sylveon a special attack boost. And finally, this Bleak Windstorm going to land on the Hariyama, dealing 65%. Not enough to kill. But now both the Sylveon and the Hariyama are awfully low. That burn is going to take its toll. Urshifu is going to come back in. Tornadus going to protect. Urshifu given up. Eating that Close Combat. Tornadus is going to block that Hyper Voice. And then in comes the Ogerpon with 1 turn of Trick Room left. Hariyama is going to switch out for the Rangaroo, obviously getting ready to set up another Trick Room. But here comes the Tailwind. Now Ogerpon is faster than everything. Regidrago also going to benefit from this Tailwind. The Protect coming out. Ivy Cudgel into the Oranguru, as well as a Dragon Energy is finally going to kill that Oranguru, so Trick Room cannot come back up. Tinglu comes out, going to drop all of these, I believe it's Special Attack? Yeah, Special Attack of everyone. Ivy Cudgel doing some good damage, and Dragon Energy finally going to finish off that Hariyama. Stomping Tantrum going to do a lot into the Regidrago. It's a slugfest as Ivy Cudgel does not secure the kill, but the Terra Blast will kill off that Sylveon. Rock Slide comes out, dealing some good damage into Regidrago, but it's not enough. Tinglu goes down, and OB will take game 1. Very interesting matchup. It is very, very back and forth. Obviously, a lot of Zardichar's plan revolving around that Trick Room with the Oranguru. So it's going to come down to how well they are able to position the Oranguru. We're going to have to find out how they do in Game 2. Here we are in Game 2, the same lead for OB, as well as the same lead for Zardichar. Obviously, liked how that last one went. The Surging Strike's going to do some good damage into the Hariyama. Nearly got a kill. But we're going to miss again on the Hariyama, and the Thunder Punch is going to do some major damage, and then the Trick Room comes up. You're going to immediately switch out into Ogerpon, who is going to eat a close combat and go down. This Hariyama is just doing its job immediately. The Instruct comes out. We're going to block it with the Protect, though. But that could have been a double KO right there. Aqua Jet comes out. Obviously, the Urshifu locked into Surging Strikes. Must be a Scarf or something. The Bleak Wind going to do a good bit of damage to the Rangaroo. Sylveon comes out. Aqua Jet plus the Rain Dance from Tornado is going to do some good damage, but not secure the kill. Sylveon is starting to roll, has one turn of Trick Room left. Only going to take 44 from that. And then the Hyper Voice comes out, going to finally kill that Urshifu. And all we have left is the Regidrago against a Fairy type. It's not going to be enough. The Trick Room's going to come out. And now Regidrago is just in a horrible position. Going to go down to the Hyper Voice. Absolutely nothing OB could have done there. That powerful start from Zardichar was just too much. We're bringing it to a Game 3. So, how will OB adjust, knowing that Zardichar is prepared for the start that he's been going with? The final game here to determine who will be moving into the semifinals. Let's take a look. Tornadus and Urshifu, same lead versus the same lead. Both of our members here really liking their leads. The fake out of the Urshifu going to stop it, and then Hariyama is finally going to eat and hit from that Bleak Windstorm. The Aqua Jet comes out, finishing off the Hariyama. It's everything that OB could have wanted. Now the Sylveon comes out, and the Sneasel Sui is going to come in. Hyper Voice going to do 50% to Sneasel, not what you're wanting to see if you are OB. And then the Hyper Voice is going to come out and finish it off. That Instruct from the Oranguru really just brought this game back into Zardy's favor. The Sneasel, obviously the adjustment made to be able to take out this Sylveon, but now it's just gone in a single turn thanks to that Hyper Voice going off twice in a single turn. And the special attack boost is now on the Sylveon while the Trick Room still has 2 turns left. Not a good position to be in. The Terra Steel on the Tornadus is coming out, which is interesting. Regidrago is going to block a Shadow Ball, a double Shadow Ball because of the Instruct, and the Bleak Windstorm will come out and do a good bit of chip damage. We're going to switch out into the Ting Lu, and the Hyper Voice is going to one-shot the Regidrago, some major damage. But now the Trick Room is gone, and the Urshifu Rapid Strike is on the field. Very, very scary. The Surging Strikes is going to come out and deal some major damage to the Sylveon. Ting Lu no longer scared of that Surging Strikes, which Urshifu is locked into, but now is weak to the Tornadus Bleak Wind Storm. This Oranguru is going to go down easily to the Urshifu, and that's what's going to come out next is that Bleak Wind Storm. Going to do 41% and drop the speed. But now we are stuck in a situation of a 1 versus 1. We know that Urshifu is locked into Surging Strikes thanks to its prior behavior. We see that the Tornadus is gone thanks to that amazing damage from the Ting Lu's Stomping Tantrum. Is Urshifu going to be able to break this Ting Lu, or can Ting Lu hold on long enough to get rid of the Urshifu? It's coming right down to the wire. Surging Strikes comes out 1, 2, and 3. It's doing almost nothing. Each one is already a guaranteed critical hit, so you can't guarantee. Here's another one. Another Surging Strike, gonna bring it down to 16%. It is down to just very little, 2% on the Urshifu. Surging Strikes goes out 1, 2, and that's going to be it. Ting Lu is gone. Urshifu barely hanging on. And that will be the game. OB is going to the semifinals in what has to be one of the closest games of the whole season. Next up, we have Snake Eyes, who leads the San Diego Superiors, versus Fair, leading More Better. I have recently faced More Better, so you recognize this team. The Fluttermane and the Raging Bolt filled out with a host of other powerful Pokemon that you need to watch out for. But what about these San Diego Superiors? What's their whole deal? Well, the San Diego Superiors is currently the favorite to win this whole thing. Snake Eyes has gone this whole draft without dropping a single match. That is right. Though he may have dropped a game here or there, he is undefeated. Now, what exactly is on this team that has let Snake Eyes be so successful? Well, we have some Blizzard spam with Ninetales and Iron Bundle, that being paired alongside Chi Yu to drop down that special defense. It's some major damage coming out from these guys. We also have some good supports coming in here like Klefki, as well as the Furret, and the very, very cheap 1-point Fletchling. It still gets Gale Wings, so it is something. We have a few Trick Room abusers with the Enamorous Therian, as well as the Trevenant, and a good old Intimidate Mon. As a matter of fact, we have the Battle of the Tauros breeds. We have Tauros Paldea Aqua versus Tauros Paldea Blaze. Not sure either one of them will necessarily be coming to the matchup, but it is certainly something to look out for. So, let's see what happens when the favorite to win this whole tournament squares off against two of the strongest Pokemon to come out of Scarlet and Violet, Fluttermane and Raging Bolt, piloted by a very, very competent and strong player in Fair. Let's see. Here we are in Game 1, and we are able to see the matchup here. We have both of the very obvious, going to come to every single matchup, Fluttermane and Raging Bolt. We also have the Amoonguss, which is obviously great pick, pretty much always. And we see a very interesting call. I definitely don't hate it. We have the Regice coming out from More Better. I think that this is pretty interesting. Regice is one of the few Pokemon that has benefited from the change from hail to snow. It itself is able to spam Blizzard and has seen some success in the past. But looking at Snake Eyes' team, just who exactly are you trying to Blizzard? Probably going to be relying on the other Pokemon here. We have a lot of Terra Water, obviously fearing that Blizzard spam, as well as the fire moves coming out of the Chi Yu. But if you go that, then you have to worry about all of the freeze dries both Alolan Ninetales and Iron Bundle are capable of. So, gonna be an interesting matchup, and I look forward to seeing what happens. So let's go. Turn number 1, we lead off with Chi Yu and Ninetales versus Fluttermane and Tauros Paldea. Not a great start for the Tauros Paldea. While it does threaten both of these Pokemon with damage, the Intimidate is going to whiff anything useful. So, as it stands, it's mainly just a damage dealer in this circumstance. The Snow Warning is obviously going to go up, as well as the Beads of Ruin. We are not going to see an activation of the Protosynthesis, which means we are not looking at a Booster Energy Fluttermane. Let's see how that works out. The Chi Yu is going to lead off with a Snarl, lowering that damage from the Fluttermane. Obviously, a very fast Chi Yu being able to outspeed the Fluttermane could be scarfed. The Power Gem will come out, dealing some major damage, but not going to kill, especially thanks to that Snarl that came out earlier. Icy Wind going to slow down both Flutter and Tauros and cause Tauros to eat its Citrus Berry, potentially being a bulkier set. The Sunny Day activation, a very interesting tech coming out from More Better here. We're going to get that Protosynthesis, which is special defense. Quite possibly it was meant to be a speed proc, but thanks to speed and special attack being lowered, it is now special defense that is Flutter Mane's highest stat. So now special defense is what's being boosted from Protosynthesis. Going into turn 2, we're going to see another Snarl come out. This Flutter Mane rendered nearly useless. The Moonblast from the Ninetales is going to take out the Tauros, but that super effective is just too much for Chi-Yu, and it's going to go down from the Power Gem. We see Raging Bolt and Iron Treads coming in to replace those Pokemon that have been lost. Raging Bolt is immediately going to have his special attack boosted thanks to this sun that was placed earlier. We are now going to see the Metagross coming in for the Flutter Mane, and the Raging Bolt is going to Terrastallize into a Water type, obviously trying to get away from those Ground type moves. But that's not all. The Volt Switch is going to come out, obviously showing that the Raging Bolt no longer even wants to be in here. But that's not all we saw. I was not able to pause it in time. A Metagross coming out with the Bullet Punch and just annihilating the Ninetales. It is gone. High Horsepower doing some major damage to the Metagross. Dragon Pulse doing okay damage into the Iron Treads. We are now in a situation where Snake Eyes is down to his last 2 Pokemon, and he no longer has the Snow up. It's a very, very tough situation for him that I'm frankly not even sure he can come out of. Let's see what he does. We get the speed boost as a Quark Drive boosted booster energy. Double Protect wants to see what exactly he's going for, as well as stalling out the sun. The Bullet Punch comes out, dealing a little bit of chip damage to the Iron Treads, and Raging Bolt is going to be Encored and is now stuck in here. But he is Encored into the Dragon Pulse, which is just about what he wants to be Encored into anyway. The Flutter Mane will come in. Now it is no longer debuffed by all of the Chi-Yu and Ninetales debuffs that it started out with. So it is immediately a threat again. But it is slower than the Iron Bundle, so let's see what happens. The Freeze Dry is going to come out, is going to kill the Flutter Mane, and now Raging Bolt is Encored into a Dragon move with the Fairy type on the field. It's not going to be able to win this. So that is game 1 going to Snake Eyes. A very tough situation that he found himself in, but he knew the exact line to get himself out of it. What a stellar game 1 we just watched. A very amazing comeback from Snake Eyes there, and I'm interested to see how this game 2 goes, so let's not hesitate. Jumping right in. We lead off with the Chi-Yu and Ninetales once again. It is going to be Tauros and Metagross this time. Once again, the Intimidate is going to whiff, but we are now threatening some major damage into both Chi-Yu and Ninetales. We know that this Tauros is bulky, so it should not go down to just about anything these two can do. As well as the Metagross immediately threatening a Bullet Punch onto the Ninetales. Obviously, our previous winner here, Snake Eyes, knowing what's about to happen, is going to switch out into Iron Treads, does not want any part of that Bullet Punch. Which he absolutely would have gotten. The Psychic is going to come out, a move we were not expecting from the Chi-Yu, and it is going to one-shot the Tauros. That is absolutely not something I was expecting to see come out of this Chi-Yu. It is a tech that he was obviously hiding in the last game. And man, does it come in handy with Tauros down. That is some major, major damage from More Better's side that he is no longer threatening. He's going to replace it with the Flutter Mane, and he will bring in the Raging Bolt. We now have both of our classic VGC mons on the field. Mystic Fire going to come out into the Iron Treads that is protecting itself, and that Psychic will do great damage into the Flutter. Mystic Fire is going to nearly one-shot that Iron Treads, and the Thunderbolt deals major damage to the Ninetales. So even though Snake Eyes was already in a really good position, the power of Fluttermane and Raging Bolt is just way too much. It is going to immediately swing this back to an even playing field. Chi-Yu comes in, sitting next to Ninetales. The Snarl comes out, going to deal some good damage, but primarily going to lower the special attack stat of both of these amazing special attackers. The Ninetales is going to block that Mystic Fire, and Chi-Yu going to take the Thunderbolt, a critical hit Thunderbolt, mind you, decently well. Managing to live a critical hit Thunderbolt from a Raging Bolt is honestly, even through a Snarl, that is something to behold. Quark Drive going to activate, giving Iron Bundle the advantage over the Fluttermane, but doesn't matter because the Fluttermane immediately gets out there, going for Metagross. Ninetales going to Terastallize into a Water type, but so is the Raging Bolt. Thunderclap going to fail on the Ninetales that went for Disable, trying to predict each other, but just not working out. Going into the next turn, we're going to see a Protect coming up from the Iron Bundle and the Ninetales wanting to gauge intention here. Thunderbolt comes out as well as a Heavy Slam. We now know what exactly More Better is attempting to accomplish here. So, how will Snake Eyes respond? The Encore comes out. We are now encored into Thunderbolt. The Disable will also be paired with the Encore, now forcing this Raging Bolt to struggle. Heavy Slam comes out, getting rid of the Iron Bundle, but the damage may have been done. This Raging Bolt is now useless for 3 turns. Chi-Yu is going to come in to replace it. Going to switch out, and now the Fluttermane potentially eating the brunt of some damage here, and both of them are going to go down. We are now down to the Raging Bolt, and he has to defeat both of these. Chi-Yu will go down to thanks to the Thunderclap, but Ninetales showing that it just does not have the gas to be able to beat Raging Bolt. The Protect comes out, but it's not going to be enough. It's just going to stall time for Ninetales to be able to determine what it wants to do. Moonblast going to do very little damage. The Volt Switch going to finish this off. We are now into game number 3. A very back and forth game number 2 is going to be interesting to see how game number 3 shapes up. Will we see some adjustments in terms of what Pokemon are coming? Or are we going to stick to the exact same teams and just see some different plays? Let's find out. The Chi-Yu and Ninetales lead once again, as well as Tauros and Metagross. Last time, we saw that the Ninetales had to switch here, so I'm interested to see, will he go for an immediate switch once again, and will the Metagross predict that? All of the regular activations that you're expecting going up. The Iron Treads will switch in, but this time, predicting the switch, he's going to go into Raging Bolt, but I gotta wonder, is that a mistake? We now have handed our opponent the advantage in this situation. The Terra Water Tauros going to resist that Heat Wave and one-shot this Chi-Yu, now in an amazing position here. We have a half HP Tauros that one-shots one of our major players, Chi-Yu. Snake Eyes does get a free switch. Ninetales able to come back in and now can threaten some good damage with the Blizzard. We're going to switch in Metagross over the Tauros to get rid of those defense drops. Let's see what becomes of it. Moonblast going straight into the Raging Bolt. We know that this is an Assault Vest thanks to a knockoff that happened earlier, so going to take very little damage from that. In comes a high horsepower. How much damage? It's going to critical hit and one-shot the Metagross. We're now swinging back into an even matchup. Tauros Paldea finally going to get an Intimidate that matters. And the Ninetales going to Terastallize into a Water. Would be able to resist that Mystic Fire had it been going for the Ninetales, but it was going for the Iron Treads, which protected, and now the Mystical Fire is disabled. Sunny Day comes out, going to boost up the speed of the Fluttermane, but with the Mystical Fire, we don't want to be in there anymore. We're swapping. I cannot say that word. Switching or swapping. Either one would have worked. Don't combine them. Anyway, Raging Bolt comes in. Special attack boost from the Sunny Day. The Tauros nearly goes down, but that Citrus Berry going to bring it back up. The high horsepower gets rid of the Raging Bolt. Now the Raging Bull will take down that Iron Treads, but it looks like the damage might have been done. Tauros is less than half, and if I'm not mistaken, Fluttermane may be full HP, but now Iron Bundle can get the activation of his booster energy, and he is faster than the Fluttermane. Power Gem comes out. It is not faster, actually. It must be full speed investment versus not full speed investment. Interesting. The Power Gem comes out, and it does not secure the kill on the Ninetales. It is only neutral. It is not super effective. Not able to get that kill. The Freeze Dry will come out and kill this was fire, now is water Tauros. And we are now into a disabled Fluttermane. No longer able to use that Power Gem, which is a huge disadvantage. But Fluttermane obviously showing that it is choiced and now has to struggle. This game is over. That's it. It does not matter how much it struggles here. It cannot deal enough damage, and Iron Bundle and Ninetales can team up and take this game. Wow. A huge mistake at the end there. A supposed missed input from More Better is going to finish this game off in a very dominant way for Snake Eyes. Wow. That was a match that swung back and forth quite a lot, and I look forward to seeing Snake Eyes continue his run into the semifinals as he continues to be the favorite to win this whole thing. And here we are with our final match. It is the Star City Spirits, led by Dr. Grisman, versus the Uptown Ursalunas, led by Sloan. We have gone against Sloan and the Uptown Ursalunas before, so I don't need to cover this team all that much. We know that this is hard Trick Room with a heavy reliance on that Zapdos Galar when not in that Trick Room situation. Versus the classic Annihilate Mousehold duo. We also have a little bit of Psy Spam going on here. We have the Indeedee and Delphox, as well as Sneasler, able to benefit from that Psychic Terrain as well. A lot of good options going for Dr. Grisman here, and I do have a little bit of info going into this. I spoke with Grizz prior to this match occurring, and I am fully aware that one of the members that will be coming to this team is the Dunsparce. Whether it looks good or not, he has not managed to use the Dunsparce throughout this whole season, and he wants to do it. So he's going to. He's going to bring the Dunsparce and hopefully manage to get a match with it. So let's see what sort of set he comes up with. So here we are with game one, Dr. Grisman versus Sloan. We have pretty much what you would expect over from Sloan. We do have a bit of the tech with the Scyther instead of a King Gambit, but makes enough sense. Over on Dr. Grisman's side, we have some very interesting picks. No Sneasler. Now, this could potentially be that no Sneasler because we are trying to fit in the Dunsparce, but regardless, it is interesting to see that we are bringing that Psychic Terrain and not bringing the Sneasler. Very interesting indeed. But we do have the Psychic Terrain Expanding Force enabled. We also have the classic combo of Mouse Ape. So, is that enough to conquer the heavy Trick Room, Torkoal, and Bear? Let's find out. Let's start game one. See what our leads are. Delphox and Persian Alola versus Jumpluff and the turtle himself, Torkoal. So the sun is set. Delphox now threatening some major damage with a Heat Wave. But we have a Chlorophyll Jumpluff with Sleep Powder at the ready. It's not looking great for Grizz, if we're being honest. Gonna Terrasilize into a Ghost type and protect with the turtle. It is immune to the Fake Out, and the sleep is gonna go onto the Delphox. Very, very rough turn one. Going to go into the Ursaluna. Taunt comes out to stop that, but to stop the Sleep Powder spam, but it is not going to land in anything that matters. The Eruption's going to come out, not only kill the Persian, but half health the resisting Delphox. Some major damage from this Torkoal, and now it only gets worse with Ursaluna ending this turn getting burned. Annihilate comes in, looking to do some good damage here. So does Indeedee, sets up that Psychic Terrain. Annihilate goes for the bulk up. Headlong Rush going into the Indeedee, gonna one-shot it. Obviously meant for that Delphox, but doesn't matter. A one-shot is a one-shot. Eruption also comes out. Is Annihilate going to manage to survive this? It does, thanks to that special defense boost, but it is not long for this world. That bulk up is not going to be enough to carry it to victory. The Jumpluff is going to come back in, the Expanding Force, dealing some major damage, but the Drain Punch whiffing into a Ghost type. Eruption comes out. It is doing no damage at this point, but at this point, Sloan is in such an advantageous position that missing out on a turn like that is not so bad. Protect coming out from Delphox to waste the final turn of the sun, but the Tailwind's going to come out, keeping that Jumpluff just as speedy. And this time, the Ursaluna also quite fast. Delphox goes back to sleep in the Headlong Rush, now faster than the Annihilate and gonna knock it out. There's now Delphox against the world, but it's asleep, so this is gonna be the game. A very dominant game one from Sloan, only losing the Torkoal. A precious member of his team indeed, but if it brings him to the win, then that's what matters. How is Dr. Grisman going to adapt to this information? Let's find out. Going into game two here, I think it's important to note the Terra types of both teams. Primarily Dr. Grisman's team. We notice that there's a Sleep Powder user on the enemy team, but no Terra Grass. That's a really rough position to be in. So you gotta wonder, how exactly do you deal with a max speed chlorophyll boosted Sleep Powder user? Well, let's get into game two and find out. Going to go with Delphox and Indeedee going straight for the Expanding Force tech, but this time Cresselia is going to come in next to the turtle. Torkoal is going to protect, and the Fake Out. Very interesting tech that could use a little bit of explanation here. This is actually an interesting tech that Grisman told me about prior to this battle. He noticed that multiple of Sloan's Pokemon are not touching the ground, which means they do not benefit from the Psychic Terrain that Grizz was going to set up. So, Fake Out, even though it would not work in Psychic Terrain in normal conditions, because it's not touching the ground, it works and stops the Cresselia in this situation. The Heat Wave comes out, going to do a good bit of damage to the Cresselia, but the Cresselia is Covert Cloak, meaning that the Fake Out doesn't work as intended, and the Trick Room is going to go up regardless. Terra Fire Eruption going to come out, do some major damage to Delphox and Indeedee. Let's see how much. Indeedee goes down. Delphox barely survives it. The Psychic isn't going to be enough. The Expanding Force is going to do some major damage to the Torkoal, meaning Eruption is no longer viable, but being in the Trick Room, it is easily going to be able to pivot to a Heat Wave. Annihilate comes in, gets that special defense boost from the Seeds, going to go Terra Electric. Protect comes out from the Delphox. The Heat Wave comes out. Going to resist it, and it's going to eat a bunch of damage, but it goes for the bulk up. It's just too much greed that I would want to see from this Annihilate. I would want to see some damage immediately being dealt here, but now that we have gone for the damage and defensive boost, we are now an open target to both this Cresselia and this Torkoal. The Heat Wave comes out once again. It's going to miss the Delphox, but Annihilate is down. The Psychic going to finish off the Delphox. We are now left with Mousehold, and that is the game. Dr. Grisman not even managing to bring the Dunsparce that he wanted so badly. Showing off a little bit of ally switch tech there at the end, but that is the game. And for those who were curious, the Dunsparce set was a Serene Grace Rock Slide set. And that is going to bring us to the end of the quarterfinals. A great set of matches there. Showing you now on the screen our semi-final matches. We have some very heavy hitters going into this, and I look forward to seeing how the matches play out. This time, I'm going to try my best. I'm not going to guarantee it, but I will try to get these matches recorded live so I'm not having to constantly pause to catch up with the commentary. Hopefully, it'll be a little bit better. So, when that time comes, we will see not only the semifinals, but we'll also see how this whole season wraps up. I will see you then.